It's absolutely apptacular. The Subject Cinema Android app. Everything you need to be a rabid Subject Cinema fan. Subject Cinema, 3-Minute Weekend, Tuesday Digidex, and Front Row 5 and 10. All right at your fingertips and available instantly. Plus, email and voicemail links, Facebook and Twitter hookups, Patreon support specials, and more is coming real soon. Don't just listen, app it. The all-in-one Subject Cinema podcast app. Android version available now at Google Play or on PNR Network websites. Amazon and iPhone apps coming soon. Don't delay. Download today.
Blueberry. This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Oh, fall. Fall is the time for Oscar bait movies and all the big stuff from the big festivals. What is all that noise you're making?
I'm coming. Wait a minute. I'm almost there. I gotta get these through the door.
What the hell is that?
Ah! It's the DC. Wait. It's the DCPs. You told me to get the DCPs for the fall preview, so I did. Do I get the cookie now?
You can have the cookie anytime. We didn't mean to get all of them. Holy cow.
I think I pulled something.
Anyway, we're going to have our fall movie preview this week. We'll run down most of the movies coming out, over 100 and 125 of them. There's more than that, plus what was happening in Toronto and Telluride, and coming up in New York, and we'll talk about the fall movie scene, and all that's coming up next.
Something is definitely ruptured.
I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
And it's all right here.
On Subject Cinema, I regret nothing!
On air, online, on now. From the hub of the universe, Boston, Massachusetts, USA, this is Subject Cinema, with your hosts, T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome TC and Kim.
Tell my mother I love her.
Oh, Kim, don't be so melodramatic.
Yeah, that's my mom. It's unnerving how you can do that.
Welcome to the fall film preview edition of Subject Cinema. I'm
Yay.
T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
Subject Cinema number 613, day and date, September 16th, 2018. A little bit later than usual this year because of our vacation, but
Yep.
we're here with all of our great stuff.
We're back.
Yeah, we'll have more vacation stuff later in the month.
Yay.
And 125 plus movies are coming out. And that's just what's in our script, which is the Entertainment Weekly fall preview edition.
Yes,
as
thank
it always
you so
is.
much for Entertainment Weekly for putting this out every year, because we'd be lost.
Yeah, and plus there's some other ones to talk about that were breakout hits at Sundance. Not Sundance, that was back in January.
Nope.
Telluride and Toronto.
Yes.
And some more coming up at New York and Fantastic Fest. And a lot of them are already slotting for fall, so there's more than this coming out.
And so this is our fall preview, right?
Yeah.
For fall films.
Right.
And it's still summer. So we're ahead of the curve.
Only
Yay!
for another week or so.
Yes. But at least we're not promising the Christmas movies
Fall
yet.
Fall films are considered after Labor Day.
Oh.
It's like wearing white shoes after Labor Day. Oh, no, what's proper for after
You
Labor Day?
monster. No, you're not supposed to wear white after Labor Day.
Okay, so it's like wearing black shoes after Labor Day.
Right. Okay.
With all the black tie and stuff, because most of the movies that come out between Labor Day and the end of the year, a good 70% of them are directly aimed at the Academy Awards circuit.
Or you could do like we do and wear no shoes after Labor Day. Or bunny slippers.
Well, we rarely wear shoes around the house anyway.
I need bunny slippers.
Anyway, we're going to go through things month by month. They're not really going to be a formal thing. We'll have the full calendar at the end. But we're just going to talk about a few things because I got to be honest, some of these films I have no interest in whatsoever. And other ones I can't wait to see.
Yeah.
One of the ones, let's just start off with the big one, the one that everybody's talking about, the one that everybody's waiting to see.
Yes.
Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga in the 4th version of the classic tale, A Star Is Born. Last done in 1976 with Barbra Streisand and
Chris Christopherson, and in a what could have been, they had actually offered the male lead to Elvis Presley,
and Colonel Tom turned him down.
Yeah.
Idiots. Cooper wrote and directed this. This is his directorial debut. It premiered in Venice to rave reviews.
Yep.
Everybody thinks it's going to be a huge hit. The clips I've seen, the trailers I've seen, will cement Stephanie, Lady Gaga, there as a firm actress.
Yes.
She already got rave reviews for American Horror Story last year,
did.
and now jumping to the big screen.
Yep. Well, I am a huge Lady Gaga fan.
Yep,
huge
you are a
Gaga
Gagaite.
fan. I admit it. I am a little monster. I admit it, as Mother Monster calls her fans. And the first time I heard they were doing this, and they were doing, Lady Gaga was playing the female lead, I was like, this is going to be awesome. And then we saw the trailer, and I was like, I was wrong. This is going to be amazing! And I'm sorry, I cannot wait for this movie. I never knew Bradley Cooper could sing.
No.
I was like, holy crap, he's
lessons.
got a great voice.
He took lessons. This is also this year's odd, and a number of the big favorites are coming out in October. Most of them come out in November and December, but A Star Is Born is one of 5 Oscar favorites that's coming out in October. It'll be out October 5th.
Well, it would actually make more sense for Oscar bait films to come out in October, and I'll tell you why. Simply because November and December are crazy. People are running. People are running everywhere. They're running shopping. They're running for Christmas. They're running for Hanukkah. They're running for Thanksgiving. Who has time to go to the movies?
Another big difference this year is a lot of the major Oscar contenders. Now that we've got that stupid, pretentious, popular film category out of the way for at least a year.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, and the Academy, and from what I heard, Laura Dern and Steven Spielberg, who are the ones that squashed that.
Yes.
For a lot of the major films that are up, that are considered favorites for Oscars are wide release films this year. You don't normally see that, and it's interesting. Peppermint's already come out. It's an action film with Jennifer Gardner.
Yes.
It's Alias version 2.
Well,
we'll skip that.
It's Alias with the whole mother bear on a rampage trope.
It's the same
on
thing
top
as
of it.
kind of like what Halle Berry's Kidnap was earlier this year.
Kind of.
I like Jennifer Garner, but I'm not. It's not my interest. Night School would not be interesting to me, except it's Kevin Hart. Yes. I love Kevin Hart.
Me
he
too.
is so funny, and they've teamed him up with Tiffany Haddish in this, and also who else is in this? Taron Killam. And it's basically your fish out of water. It's almost like an Adam Sandler movie, as if it was done by Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
But the trailer looks fun, and I like him, and it's going to be interesting. It is out on September 28th. Colette
comes out as of right now. This is all date subject to change.
Of course, yeah.
On September 21st, starring Keira Knightley, and Dominic West, Fiona Shaw. It is a period piece. That kind of thing will definitely appeal to the audience that it's made for. It looks interesting, and I mean, I love Keira Knightley, and I love period pieces. I know that they're not everybody's cup of tea, but I like them. So,
A Simple Favor with Anna Kendrick, also out already. Got some decent reviews, directed by Paul Feig. It's a murder mystery with comedic elements, and this is said to be pretty interesting. either I can take it or leave it. We're both intensely interested in what is rumored to be Robert Redford's final starring role, which he also talked about on CBS this morning, Sunday morning. The Old Man and the Gun, based on the true story of a robber named, what was his name here? I should say here.
The man's name was Forrest Tucker. He was
not to be confused with the actor.
No, this Mr. Forrest Tucker had a very different career than the Forrest Tucker who starred on F Troop. This Mr. Forrest Tucker was a bank robber. That was his career. That was his. Actually, I don't know if career is so much the word as passion. The man was robbing banks into his golden years. Yeah. And
he never stopped.
The man started robbing banks as a young man and never quit. Mm-hmm. It was, you have to respect the perseverance, if nothing else.
Also starring Sissy Spacek, Casey Affleck, and Tom Waits and Danny Glover. Mm-hmm. Should be interesting. It's out on September 28th. Now, Mandy, which is already out in limited release, got a huge pop from some people who saw it at one of the summer festivals. It is this over-the-top revenge thriller with Nicolas Cage doing what he does best, acting crazy. It's not
but from what I've heard, he's actually got some competition in the Who's Crazier in this movie, because it is about people dealing with a cult and their leader, played by Linus Roach, probably best known for his work on Law and Order, and also being Bruce Wayne's father in Batman Begins.
That's right. Is that right?
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
He got some crazy. They're saying, it's over the top, it's ridiculous, but
it's Nicolas Cage. Come on, what do you want?
The Nun.
The Nun came out already. It is already in theaters, and it is continuing part. It is part of the Conjuring universe, which I won't watch because although I love horror movies, I would like to keep breathing. And not frighten myself into a heart attack.
I think that would have been Hereditary. I don't think The Conjuring would have done that to you.
Well, the weird thing about, and they bring it up in the article, the weird thing about The Nun is that this actually brings a small genre of the exploitation film series to the mainstream, which is a bit strange. Because people hear the word exploitation and they don't realize there's different genres of that. And nunsploitation, distasteful though that is for those of us Roman Catholics out there, has been around for quite a bit. So the idea of a film this large in that category is really, I don't know if that's saying look how far we've come or look how low we've sunk. I'm not really sure.
What was the name of that short film we saw a few years ago?
I don't remember, and I don't.
Guns, wasn't it?
I don't remember, and I don't want
hilarious.
to.
Ken Watanabe is the star of Bel Canto, one of the stars, including also Julianne Moore and Christopher Lambert. Another one of these limited audience films that I love Ken, but it's not my cup of tea. Smallfoot.
Smallfoot is.
I love the premise. What I've seen so far is like, okay.
Smallfoot is an animated film with the voices of Channing Tatum. So right there's a. I
don't mind Channing Tatum if I don't have to watch him.
James Corden and Zendaya. It's the story of a human being who is discovered by a tribe of abominable snowmen.
Yeti.
I think would be Yeti.
Yep.
We'll go with Yeti. And they're all like, oh my gosh, a human being. We didn't know they were real. So it's a whole, it's all reversed. Ha, ha, ha kind of thing. And if that works for you, fine, that works for you.
Life Itself was expected to be one of the big Oscar contenders, but Toronto pretty much shot that down. The reviews were terrible for this film from Dan Fogelman, the creator of TV series This Is Us, with Oscar Isaac and Olivia Wilde and a bunch of other people. It went in to Toronto expecting big things and came out like Downsizing did last year with a collective disaster happening. The Sisters Brothers from I've forgotten the French auteur Jacques Audiard, I think his name is pronounced. Is co-produced
Audiard, I would guess.
Co-produced by star John C. Reilly along with Joaquin Phoenix, Riz Ahmed, and Jake Gyllenhaal. It is a Western with comedic and slightly weird overtones. Some critics loved it, some hated it. It was like, okay, this is another one that was expected to be possible Oscar fodder. I think it's fallen off a little bit because of the reaction in Toronto, but we'll see.
The Predator is already out as well. Starring, who's in this? The print is very small in this article. Olivia Munn, Trevante Rhodes, Sterling K. Brown, Boyd Holbrook, directed by Shane Black.
And ironically not mentioning the principal star of it, which is Jacob Tremblay, who is the kid who accidentally summons them back to Earth.
Yes.
So it's like, okay.
I saw the original film Predator back in the 80s. I thought it was terrific. Obviously, the Predator as a character has been brought back over and over and over again. This pretty much reboots the series from what I've heard.
Yep.
What I have seen of it looks like a really decent action flick. It's making a lot of money at the theater, so it's obviously doing something right.
Yeah. It is the #1 film this weekend. Hold the Dark, a small thriller with Jeffrey Wright, Alexander Skarsgård, and Riley Keough, set in Alaska.
This film kind of has me a little bit irritated, though. The plot of this film, according to the article, is talking about a group of volunteers trying to track down a wolf that has taken a child from a village.
Here we go with the happy crunchy wolf stuff again.
No! I'm sorry. No! And in case I didn't mention it before, no!
Hasn't happened.
Not cool.
Nope. Lizzie, you've been looking forward to since we saw the trailer.
Yes. Lizzie's...
A reimagining of the infamous Fall River, Massachusetts axe murders.
Well, I have been fascinated by the story of Lizzie Borden since I was a very small girl, which should be a surprise to absolutely nobody. The story of Lizzie Borden taken from the point of view of the maid that lived in the home and came into what seemed to be an atmosphere rife for something terrible to go wrong. Spoiler alert, something terrible did go wrong. The film stars Chloe Sevigny and Kristen Stewart. Now, we both know that...
Sevigny is playing Lizzie, Kristen Stewart, the maid.
Yes. Now, we both know... And I know some people heard the name Kristen Stewart and rolled their eyes. We both know that when she's put in good material, Kristen can do a great job.
People don't give Kristen enough credit because of the Twilight series, but she's done bang-up work in Fierce People, Welcome to the Rileys. She was stellar as Joan Jett in The Runaways, and she also won a César Award, the French equivalent of the Oscar, for supporting actress for Clouds of Sils Maria last year. So it's like, wow.
Yes, I am definitely looking forward to this. I know I'm alone in that. So
no, I will too. White Boy Rick was also another one that expected to do Oscar buzz, but Venice pretty much killed that. The reviews came out and it was not pleasant. The only good thing about it is newcomer Richie Merritt, who plays the title role, White Boy Rick. Everybody else said Matthew McConaughey and Jennifer Jason Leigh are just sleepwalking through the film. It opened this weekend. It is finishing in 4th place. Obviously, the public is not that thrilled with it. Rashida Jones directed and co-produced with Alan Hicks Quincy, a new documentary about the legendary Quincy Jones. It's got great word of mouth, did well in Toronto, and will probably be another. We've had a major sleeper hit in the documentary field several times this year. Documentaries have suddenly become big things. This is not unusual for 1, maybe 2 documentaries a year. This year, there have been 4 already so far that have been monster hits. RBG, the interview with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Won't You Be My Neighbor with Fred Rogers. 3 Identical Strangers about the triplets that were separated at birth. And also, just out in the last couple weeks, a movie called Hal, which is about Hal Ashby, the director of Harold and Maude. Quincy could very well join that in that thing. Hal is out. We didn't mention it. Came out on September 7th, the limited release about Hal Ashby, getting great reviews. I Think We're Alone Now, which is another film that has played the festival circuit this summer. Science fiction mystery with Peter Dinklage and Elle Fanning.
Elle Fanning, yep.
Also Paul Giamatti and I've forgotten if
it's another end of the world drama. So if that's your bag. The Land of Steady Habits is a film that I know you were looking forward to, if nothing else for the cast.
Yeah, the cast is good. It's got I'm not a big fan of Nicole Holofcener Holofcener. I don't know how you say her last name. She's an acquired taste, like Miranda July and a few other people. I haven't been that enamored with what I've seen of her. But Ben Mendelsohn, Thomas Mann, Cynthia Nixon, you got a great cast here. It premiered on Netflix on Friday. I haven't seen any reviews of it from there. Reaction in Toronto was mixed, and Thomas Mann showed up with this really cheesy mustache. I hope it's for a role, because he looks ridiculous. Sorry, Thomas, you do. Please, God, let that be for a role. MDMA is a true life story, mystery about goings-on in the clubs in 1984 San Francisco, and it's ecstasy. It's a drug and mystery fueled film. House with a Clock in Its Walls, based on the classic children's book.
Yes, the House with a Clock in Its Walls comes out on September 21st. Brought to the screen by Eric Kripke, the man who gave us Supernatural, We're Not Worthy, We're Not Worthy, We're Not Worthy. Based on the John Belair's young adult novel. The first time I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, yes. I mean, even if I knew Eric Kripke wasn't involved, I was like, yep, this looks awesome. And I know you are totally looking forward to...
Another documentary that's expected to be huge this fall, Love Gilda, a look at Gilda Radner's career. I am a huge fan of Gilda's from when I was just a kid. So I grew up during the heyday of Saturday Night Live in the in the late 70s.
And you're an enormous Gilda Radner fan.
Gilda.
So.
We lost Gilda at just 43 years old in 1989, and it was such a shame. She was an amazing performer. Yep. And I cannot wait to see this film. I have been dying to see this film since it premiered at Tribeca back in April.
Filing under I can't wait to see this film, September 21st, Tea with the Dames.
With that cast? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No kidding.
For those of you who thought you couldn't get any better than My Dinner with Andre, how about this? You have Dames Judi Dench, Maggie Smith, Eileen Atkins, and Joan Plowright just sitting around talking. Are you serious?
Now, that is a documentary, right? It's just them.
It's just them.
I have to look at that.
Is that considered a documentary if it's just people sitting around shooting the breeze?
If it's not a narrative, it's a documentary.
Well, it's more cinema verite.
Well, it's still a documentary. It's a documentary.
Well, okay.
All About Nina, a stand-up comic, gunning for a huge gig, confronts past traumas and relationship anxieties during a life-changing trip to L.A. with Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Hellfest. Roller coasters and slashers. That's basically all you need to say about that one. Monsters and Men. Gee, this sounds familiar.
Unfortunately, it sounds too familiar.
A police shooting of an unarmed black man deeply rattles Brooklyn's Bedford Stuyvesant and the young man who caught the act on camera. Ripped from the headlines.
Sadly.
Yeah. That covers September. Let's get into October. October has got possibly the biggest film of the fall, the one that everybody's been talking about, the one that everybody's been talking about for the wrong reasons. And, and it is a follow-up to two films this gentleman got Oscars for. Damien Chazelle's new Neil Armstrong biopic, First Man, with Ryan Gosling as in the title role. Damien, of course, won Oscars for Whiplash and for, the movies won, J.K. Simmons won an Oscar for Whiplash. La La Land won a ton of stuff last year.
But not the best picture.
No. And boy, will they make sure that doesn't happen again. And it's the story of Neil Armstrong, not just about the first man on the moon, but about his relationship with his woman, with his wife and their kids,
and their children,
and the losses they suffered.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody's freaking out because Chazelle chose not to show that iconic moment when the flag was actually planted in the moon, but you see it on the moon, and it's there, and it's not like they forgot it, it's just that the movie is more, don't do it. The movie is about the man, not the act, and I'm sorry, but President Trump and everyone else complaining, grow the F up, will you please? Let's move on and get it out of your system, Mr. Francis.
Flag on the moon. How did it get there? But seriously, that's so perfect.
It is.
That is so perfect. It's really weird because I actually want to see this movie.
I don't want to get political, but I'm fed up with these nitpicker bullcrap from President Trump and a whole bunch of conservatives, and it's like, oh, well, they don't actually show it, so it's un-American. Oh, will you get over yourselves, really? I'm fed up with this crap.
This kind of thing really doesn't usually interest me, but I saw the trailer for this and it made me cry. I couldn't even tell you why. Also in October, The Hate You Give.
Another movie, Raves at Toronto.
Yeah.
With Amanda Stenberg.
Yes, and another story of...
She needs a hit. She's had 2 bombs this year. She needs a hit badly.
Yeah. The issue with this, another unfortunate story that sounds like it just came off the 6 o'clock news, about a young person being killed by a police officer, and the situation not being as cut and dried as some people would like, and this young woman's having to deal with what's going on in her neighborhood and what's going on in the mostly white school that she goes to, and it's probably going to divide people a lot.
Yeah, she's a terrific actress.
She really
she's
is.
A former Rising Star alum, and really, we adore her. Wildlife has had my interest since it premiered at one of the spring festivals. It is the directorial debut of Paul Dano, written by Paul and his longtime love, Zoe Kazan, who's also, I think she has a small role in this, starring Carey Mulligan, Ed Oxenbould from Australia. He's well known down there, and Jake Gyllenhaal. It definitely. I trust. I have not seen anything that Paul Dano has done either in it or around it that I have not liked.
No, I know.
Ruby Sparks was so underseen by people, and that was a film that he starred
Criminally
in with
underseen.
Zoe.
Criminally
and
underseen.
It was a terrific film, and he wrote that as well. He didn't direct it, but it's like, you know, I really have faith in him and his ability to pull stuff together. And he's just, I mean, just the fact that I gave him a Poppy a couple of years ago for his role, his turn as Brian Wilson, which was just amazing. But as an actor, he's terrific in all that part, and now it's expanding. So I'm hoping that does well.
Can You Ever Forgive Me proves that everybody talks about how real life is stranger than film sometimes, and this is definite proof of that because it is based on an actual incident and actual people.
It was also a runaway hit at Telluride this year. One of the
starring Melissa
secretive films
McCarthy.
that showed up there. Yep.
And Richard E. Grant. It's the story of a woman named Lee Israel who wound up becoming a forger. She started forging celebrity letters allegedly written by dead movie stars and important people and stuff like that, and she became very, well known for it. She went from being famous to infamous because of these dealings. And we saw a trailer for it with Won't You Be My Neighbor? And I was like, wow, this looks really amazing.
It does look good, and she's received praise, and a couple of people in Toronto said it's the best role of her career. So we'll see what happens. Happy Prince is a British film starring Rupert Everett, Colin Morgan, and Colin Firth. And I gather that this story has something to do with Oscar Wilde.
It's looking at Oscar Wilde and the ending years of his life. And when you think about Oscar Wilde, I mean, everybody knows about his famous last words that are attributed to him. Either those curtains go or I do.
Which, if it's a real line, it deserves it.
If it's a real line, it's so fitting of Oscar Wilde. He was a rock star. He was a rock star of his time. He was also an incredibly brave person who didn't care what society thought about him. And when you think about the fact that the man actually went to jail for the crime, quote, quote, of being gay.
Yeah.
He lived in a time when you could actually go...
Well, he lived in a time where homosexuality was thought of as a sickness.
Yeah, you could go to jail for being gay. And it's like, what
really?
The actual hell?
Give me a break, please.
It's really something crazy when you think about that. October also is, of course, my favorite month out of the year because it is Halloween and...
I can't do the theme.
I know. It's hard to do. And it also brings us Halloween.
Laurie Strode is back 30, 40 years later.
And she's pissed.
And they're completely disowning everything after the original Halloween.
Yes.
Even Halloween 2 is not part of this.
Right.
And
Laurie Strode...
including her last turn as Laurie Strode, which was in H2O, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So all of that's been forgotten. This is a direct sequel to the original film
Yes.
from 1978.
Laurie Strode is taking on Michael Myers, and she's not the cowering girl hiding in the closet anymore. Can't wait for that movie. I am a little bit still kind of on the fence about Venom.
Yeah, me too. Mainly because of Tom Hardy.
That's so mean.
What?
It's like
I have a right to not like the guy.
Well,
whenever he does roles that immerse him into something that's ridiculously behind, I have tended not to like him. I did not like him in The Dark Knight Rises. I did not like Mad Max. And I don't know if I will like him here. I like him when he plays honest, straightforward roles where he's himself.
like Inception.
And Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy and all those. That's fine. He's good there. But for some reason, when you involve a character where it involves makeup or costumes or whatever, it just, I lose it from him. So
Okay.
I didn't like him in Star Trek Nemesis either back then.
Nobody liked Star Trek Nemesis.
Except the cast, apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
We're out on the limb about it, but the more I see the trailer, at least it looks like
the
it'll
more
be
I
fun.
see the trailer, I'm like, okay, this is at least it's going to hold our attention, or at least my attention. My thing is, I'm still trying to figure out, and I know I've brought this up before to you and stuff like that, how you're supposed to do a Venom movie that doesn't involve Spider-Man.
Because Venom doesn't involve Spider-Man all the time anymore. He is his own character with his own anti-hero agenda, and Spider-Man does not appear in his comic book that often.
Anyway.
And I don't know whether they'll be able to do it now. Of course, they'll have to bring Venom into the MCU if they're going to use Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Let's hope they don't go the DC route and decide to do 80 million different versions of things.
Please,
I will hurt them.
No.
And by the way, speaking of the DC universe, we'll have a little bit of news about that. A little bit. Remind me at the end of the show. The Kindergarten Teacher has been getting good word of mouth since the summer festivals, starring Maggie Gyllenhaal as a teacher who is intent on talking the parents of a young student of hers into doing more with them because she's convinced that the young child is a prodigy.
Yes, in poetry.
And he's 5.
In kindergarten.
Yeah.
You can't write your name. Well, you're learning to write your name in kindergarten. How are you writing poetry? Well, yeah. Anyway,
it has a lot of good word of mouth, and the reviews have been more than kind, especially to her performance. A lot of people put her in the mix for Oscar. We'll see what happens. I mean, to me, honestly, the story just doesn't interest me, but I will watch it on cable probably when it comes on, but I don't know. It's not something I'm going to run to the theater to see.
Right.
I
like her, so I might give it a try.
Yeah. She's much better than Katie Holmes.
You know it. I seem to be more interested in the next film than you are.
I'm interested. I'm just intrigued because I've heard early buzz has not been good. So I'm like,
Really?
okay.
Bad Times at the El Royale is supposed to be coming out in October, and it's got a cast to die for, which I think is probably going to be a really ironic turn of phrase considering
it's a murder mystery.
Yeah, considering. Yeah. I mean, there've already been comparisons to an Agatha Christie novel. There's been comparisons to Hitchcock films.
This is going to be a cult film, I think.
It could be, yeah.
I don't think it's going to relate to the mainstream. But I think it will end up becoming a cult film because it has John Hamm, who's already a cult star from Mad Men. It has Chris Hemsworth from Thor. Who else is in it?
Tom Holland, Jeff Bridges. It looks really incredible, and no, I'm not just saying that because we do get a shot of Chris Hemsworth without a shirt. It just looks Hemsworth. I said that.
No, you said Helmsworth.
Oh, sorry. Get
his name right. He's not Ed Helms.
No, I know.
It's not Ed Hemsworth.
Fine.
All right.
It just looks like a really cool film. I like the idea. I've always been interested in the idea of having a room with a bunch of people in it that don't know each other and to see what happens with that. Because I've always been... I heard this phrase for the first time in college. Jean-Paul Sartre said, hell is other people. And I've always thought that was a really interesting phrase.
College education there.
Yeah. Woo! But I always thought that was an interesting turn of phrase, and I think this film might have something to say about that.
Yeah, it could. Beautiful Boy is another film that has been getting a lot of buzz.
Another trailer that made me cry.
Mainly because... I haven't seen the trailer yet.
I have.
Mainly because of the presence of Timothée Chalamet, who is right now the it boy, thanks to Call Me By Your Name. He was number 2 on the Rising Stars honors this year. But... Toronto kind of deflated it a little bit. The critics didn't really care for the film.
Right.
As much as they cared for the performances. They all think
as much
Chalamet,
as most of the mods, they cared for his performance.
Yeah, Chalamet, they all say, is a shoe-in for whichever category they push him in. Some think it should be lead, some think it should be supporting. Steve Carell got good notices from some critics, and others weren't that thrilled. And the film itself got... Yes, it's a good film. It's not a great film. So I think some of its Oscar buzz has diminished since Toronto. But Chalamet, who I just think is one of the most talented guys I've ever seen, and I've only seen him bits and pieces here and there.
I did see the trailer, and watching this film and watching a father struggling to try and pull his son back from the brink of the abyss, which, to be perfectly honest, and I'm not trying to sound unkind, it is a abyss that he's put himself in through drug addiction. I can't even imagine what that must be like for parents who have to go through that. And considering the fact that we're in a country right now that is in the middle of an enormous drug crisis with the opioid crisis, there are so many parents that unfortunately have had to go through this and have had to literally watch their children die before their eyes.
But is this going to be as powerful and as strong as Darren Aronofsky's movie, Requiem for a Dream?
I don't know.
The critics didn't seem to think so.
I don't know, considering that film is amazing and powerful and should be shown to every single high school senior, and trust me, they'll never do drugs after that.
Also hitting in October, Bayou Caviar, which is the directorial debut of actor Cuba Gooding Jr., who also stars as a fading boxer enlisted by a Russian gangster to do some dirty work, also starring Richard Dreyfuss.
I really want to see the Great Buster celebration.
We'll make a trip to the Kendall for this. Absolutely.
Peter Bogdanovich's documentary about one of the most amazing performers of our times, of any times, comedian Buster Keaton. If you go back and look at the films of Buster Keaton and his work, it's just, you watch this and you go, oh, I get it now. I get why future comedians have done this, because he did it first. He was one of the pioneers. I can't wait to see this.
Private Life, dark comedy about a couple dealing with infertility, starring Catherine Hahn and Paul Giamatti. Studio 54, another movie about this place.
Yes, this is a documentary, though. All of the other ones have all been fictional accounts.
I would like to go see this, just because I grew up in the disco era. I remember the excesses and the craziness that happened at Studio 54. I would like to see how
it's really funny that you say that, because I grew up a little bit younger than you, so I remember all the teenagers around me sneering at that kind of lifestyle.
Right, you're from Boston.
Yeah. Well, but Boston had one of the biggest disco stations around.
Two of them. Two of them. Two stations were disco.
Well, I found
that out from my chart site that I go to.
I can't really speak about Boston proper, but I can tell you some of the northern suburbs. Every teenager I saw had T-shirts that said "Disco sucks." Yeah. So it should be interesting.
Apostle's getting interesting word of mouth too from a couple of the festivals.
Yeah, it's the story of a man in the early 1900s trying to save his sister from a religious cult that is headed up by a man going by the name Prophet Malcolm, played by Michael Sheen. Michael Sheen is one of those actors that I adore. Mr. Sheen, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, sir, if you happen to listen to this, but you scare me. I'm sorry. There are times I've seen him play parts where I've been like, that's it, I have to leave the room. Because he's so unnerving.
And we're not talking about the head of the Volturi.
No, I realized that. No, that was camping it the hell up.
He was enjoying himself to the end. And you can see that, yeah.
No, he was
one of the best parts of that film.
I'm not saying that in a way that he's a bad actor. He's a wonderful actor. And that's why I have a feeling that in this film he's going to make me, freak out and stress vomit. Because I have a feeling he's going to be so scary. But I really do want to see it.
He's terrific as David Frost. And Forrest Nixon,
he really was.
The Oath, a political studded comedy about family with different politics of
political
different members.
Divides at Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
fun,
all in the
fun,
family.
Fun.
The movie. Galveston, which was originally scheduled to premiere in Toronto, but had to be bumped back because none of the stars could make it in. is high on my list because of the director. Melanie Laurent is the director, and I love her as an actress, and she keeps getting raves as a director, and I can't wait to see it. Ben Foster stars as a hitman who is double-crossed and escapes with a young woman who had been held captive, played by Elle Fanning, in the novel of the same name. The Guilty, which is Danish filmmaker's Gustav Mahler, making his feature debut with a high-concept thriller about an emergency call dispatcher who must piece together clues about a kidnapped woman.
Serenity is coming out in October.
Not to be confused with the original Fox series.
No, sorry guys, it's not. They're not bringing the Firefly movie back. Sorry, sorry to all the browncoats out there. I saw the trailer for this as well. It's the story of Matthew McConaughey as a captain of a fishing boat who is asked by his ex-wife to do a favor for her. The favor involves killing her current husband. Welcome to the SS Awkward. I just looked really... the thing is, stuff on ships and boats and stuff like that, if you look at it, I know this sounds like a weird way to put it, they are so claustrophobic. If you want to have a film that completely picks your nerves apart, if you've never seen a film from the 80s called Dead Calm, oh my gosh, this movie, like, you have this beautiful sunny outside and you're just like screaming, get me out of this theater right now. The thing, I get that same vibe from this film. It's another noir film it's a noir film set in a place where you wouldn't even think of noir because it's all sunny and relaxed and laid back and stuff like that.
Well, those are sometimes the best, to see brick.
Oh, I know. Well, yeah. Or mud. I mean, mud.
Well, mud's not really a noir, though.
There are elements.
There
of
are
noir
elements
in
of it, not helped by the presence of Joe Don Baker. But it's like
that wasn't nice.
Well, I know, but still. And finally, What They Had, starring Hilary Swank as a woman who goes home to her hometown to try and persuade her father to put her Alzheimer's ailing mother into a nursing home.
Oh, that sounds trippy.
Yeah. So that's the first 2 months. When we come back, we're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we'll hit November and December.
When Subject Cinema returns.
Real movies for real people. Subject Cinema.
All right, Kristen, I am so excited that you've decided to do a podcast with me, but what are we going to do a podcast about? There's so many other movie podcasts. We got to do something original.
Well, I'm a big fan of Disney movies. What about something like that?
That's just kid stuff. What do we want to do that for?
Did you know that The Avengers is a Disney movie? Or that Pulp Fiction is a Disney movie?
Pulp Fiction is not a Disney movie.
It's technically owned by Miramax, which is part of Disney.
We are still going to talk about the Disney animated movies, though, right?
I thought you said that was kid stuff.
Well, I've got 2 kids. I got to be a good dad and stuff.
So be sure to subscribe to the Walt Sent Me podcast, where we discuss the various subsidiaries of the Walt Disney Studios, including the animated movies.
It's available on iTunes, Podomatic, and wherever you find great podcasts. And I swear, it's not kid stuff.
Subject Cinema.
Welcome back to Subject Cinema's fall movie preview for 2018. I'm Kim Brown.
I'm T.C. Kirkham, and we've covered September and October.
Yes.
Now it's time to get into November and December.
Yes.
Kicking things off for November is Widows, the latest movie from director Steve McQueen, the Oscar-winning director of 12 Years a Slave, and a cast to die for, including Viola Davis, I always say that wrong, Elizabeth Debicki. Why do I know that name? She's in Twilight, isn't she, Elizabeth Debicki?
I'm not sure.
Cynthia Erivo and Michelle Rodriguez as the widows of 4 thieves killed by the cops during a heist, and they decide to do their own heist.
Finish what their husbands tried to start.
Well, actually, they do another one, too. Jeffrey Wells of Hollywood Elsewhere was all over this film at Toronto and thinks it's going to be one of the major contenders. Steve McQueen, love him, and we're going to talk a lot about Netflix this month. Steve McQueen is one of these people that says his films are meant to be seen on the cinema screen. It is a communal experience. And, I think his namesake, the actor, would also feel that way.
I definitely think so.
He was never about stuff like that.
Nope.
And Netflix didn't come along until afterward, but our modern-day Steve McQueen definitely is on our side when it comes to that.
Yep.
So anyway, I think that's definitely looks like a winner. And then, of course, this has got to be the most shamelessly plug-filled film ever in the history of the Walt Disney Company. But you know something? It's Ralph, it's Vanellope, it's going to be hilarious. Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2, the sequel, with the voices of John C. Reilly and Sarah Silverman again, and what's his name? Jack Brer, and the rest of the cast from the first one. Jack Brer,
Jane Lynch.
And this one, they're going to go off and see the internet, and we've already seen clips where they're in the middle of the internet hub, and all we see is Disney-branded products.
Yep. And Vanellope,
Star Wars, the Muppets,
Marvel, and Vanellope hanging out with the Disney princesses.
She's technically a Disney princess.
She's a princess too, so it makes sense, really.
I can't wait to see this.
Oh,
it's
I know.
It's going to be funny as hell.
I know.
Can we not have the same people that were at the first movie show up at the cinema, so I don't have to worry about watching a woman watch her phone while her daughter watches the movie?
Yeah.
I've groused about that a number of times.
Is it too much to hope for that there's also going to be a song from Owl City on this soundtrack too?
I don't know. I don't know who does the soundtrack this time.
Oh, please, please, please.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be Owl City. They've done a lot of great stuff on their own.
Well, so. I know that, but we love Owl City.
Yeah, we do.
Anyway.
Now, the next two films are both movies that premiered at either Venice or Toronto, and they are both Netflix films. Mm-hmm. One of them did not get good reviews. It was Toronto opening film at the Toronto Film Festival. Outlaw King. Mm-hmm. Directed by David Mackenzie and starring Chris Pine, Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Stephen Delane. This is based on the true story of
Robert
the Bruce.
King Robert the Bruce. Now, most people who are not Scottish, if you ask your average not Scottish person, name a Scottish hero, most of them would probably say William Wallace because of the entertaining but wildly historically inaccurate Mel Gibson epic Braveheart. But if you asked a Scottish person, who are some heroes of Scotland, probably one of the ones they would name first would be King Robert the Bruce. I don't know how people from Scotland are feeling about, Chris Pine playing a character like, playing King Robert the Bruce, although he has gotten top marks for his Scottish accent. So, there's that. So
David Mackenzie directed him in Hell or High Water, which was critically acclaimed,
and
did not like this one.
Movie.
Yeah.
Hell or High Water is an amazing film. I love Chris. Yeah. Besides the fact that he is stupidly handsome, Chris, if you're out there, call me. I really do think he's a great actor, and Hell or High Water really shows it. So I'm actually interested in Outlaw King myself.
It premieres on Netflix on 11/9. Mm-hmm. On November 2nd, Netflix will also premiere two other films I can't wait to see. Mm-hmm. Now, as we said about a year ago, when it comes to our own personal year-end awards, Netflix films are not eligible for our Best Picture awards. They are eligible for Best Streaming Film only.
Right.
Because I don't think that until Netflix starts doing day and date with stuff, we're not going to, in theaters, more than just 5 theaters, we're not going to do it. Mm-hmm. This one I would make an exception for if I could, but I'm not going to because it's interesting in the fact that it's so long in the making. Mm-hmm. The final film from Orson Welles will premiere on 11/2, The Other Side of the Wind. It is a movie titled The Other Side of the Wind, about a movie making the movie The Other Side of the Wind, from a maverick director played by John Huston.
I think my brain just broke.
The film took over 6 years to film and never was finished until this last year when Netflix stepped up finally and sorted out all the legal details and said, let's finish this. It was edited by Peter Bogdanovich, one of Wells' closest friends. They're also premiering a documentary about the making of the film, They'll Love Me When I'm Dead, both of which premiered in Venice to rave reviews. Mm-hmm. And The Other Side of the Wind got good reviews.
People toss around the word genius. This person's a genius, that person's a genius, blah, 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 blah. The thing is, if you use the word genius with Orson Welles, congratulations, you are using that word correctly. The man was a genius. Now, the thing is, people automatically assume because someone was a genius, that makes them a saint and delightful to work with. No. That is not accurate. at all.
Read Orson and Me. It's a great book about Orson having lunch with one of his friends over the years in the 80s, and it was a very interesting read.
The next film on our list for November is a film that I am really interested in, although I have to be honest, it's also kind of weirding me out. The Nutcracker in the Four Realms is a continuation, interpretation, new look at, however you want to word it.
Disney version.
Okay. Of the Tchaikovsky ballet, The Nutcracker. Now, I have been lucky enough to have seen that performed by the Boston Ballet, and it's very beautiful.
We also saw it at a Fathom Events thing.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
I fell asleep during most of it because of the snowstorm we had to go through to get there.
Yes, you did. The music is beautiful. I bawled my way through both of those because the music is just so amazing. It makes me cry. This is a lot darker. I mean, and I don't mean like physically I can't see what's going on darker. I mean
Fantasia dark.
Yeah, it really is, and I'm kind of like, what did they do to my ballet? You know, I mean, I'm interested, but I'm also a little like, if you people screw this up, so help me. Although it's got an incredible cast, you know, including
headed up by Mackenzie Foy, who deserves to be up there front and center, have a hit that will break her away from playing the unfortunately named Renesmee Cullen in the Twilight films. And I'm surprised she's not sitting over there snickering. Renesmee. Yeah. But it does have a great supporting cast that includes Keira Knightley and Dame Helen Mirren
and Morgan Freeman as Herr Drosselmeyer, which I think I'm like, that's inspired casting. I mean, it does look really beautiful. It looks, I think the word I'd be going for if I was going to describe what I've just seen from the trailer is sumptuous, you know? And the music, I mean, like I mentioned, it's Tchaikovsky, it's beautiful, but the way they use it sometimes, it's got that real kind of 1970s horror movie disturbing, tinkly kind of sound to it, and I'm like, what did you people do to this music? Don't screw up my favorite ballet ever. Right. But I'm really interested in seeing it.
Second act is Jennifer Lopez and Milo Ventimiglia. I can never say his name. In the How to Fake Your Resume and Get a Top Job Quickly movie. We saw the trailer last week. Pass.
And neither of us were terribly interested.
However, the next film on the list is another one that just got raves at Toronto. It is a romantic fantasy called If Beale Street Could Talk. It is the new film from Barry Jenkins, the director of Moonlight. And it is set in the 60s. It is based on the book. And is said to be sumptuous and beautiful, but still very sublime. Some critics were a little overwhelmed because, I mean, let's face it, the Jenkins fanatics, the Moonlight fanatics were right there applauding for 20 minutes and, you know, oh, it's the greatest film ever made, you know. And others were able to step back and say, well, it's good. It's a great follow-up to Moonlight. But it needs to. It's a little slow in places, so it's interesting. But it should be interesting to see how it does.
Halloween might be the month before the holiday and the movie, but November's also got some spookiness coming up as well in Suspiria, a remake of Dario Argento's seminal and extremely squishy horror film from the 70s. Now,
this film is almost twice as long as the original too, and it's made by the director. Luca Guadagnino, who did Call Me by Your Name last year.
Completely different genre
very
altogether.
Interesting change.
Which kind of, if you think about it, you know, if you're going to be famous for doing one kind of film, it really is a good idea to go out and do something completely wildly different for your next project. The story of a dancer who winds up in a dance school that might have a few really dark and extraordinarily squishy secrets. Like I said, European horror is an acquired taste. I mean, 70s European horror. Some people really think it's, you know, really, you know, the cat's pajamas. And other people find it extremely squishy, you know, misogynistic, disturbing, so on and so forth. Whether or not we're going to get that from the remake, which stars Dakota Johnson, Tilda Swinton, and Mia Goth, it's hard to say right now. Also coming out in November is Green Book, which has been getting some comparisons to Driving Miss Daisy in a reverse way.
Green Book officially today jumped into the frontrunner position for Best Picture at the Academy Awards by winning the Audience Award at the Toronto Film Festival. It is a heartwarming drama about as it is described in the magazine, a Guido with a heart of gold. Mm-hmm. Played by Viggo Mortensen, hired to take a hallowed professor of music, a black man, in 1962 through the Deep South on a piano tour, played by Mahershala Ali. The film has it just got amazing word of mouth in Toronto. Mm-hmm. Viggo and Mahershala are two of the best actors of their generations, and just really, as it is out there, overall over the last decade, 5 of the Toronto Film Fest Audience Award winners have gone on to win Best Picture. So that's a pretty damn decent track record.
Yep.
I had not heard of it until it premiered on Wednesday or Thursday at Toronto this week, and I'm really looking forward to it. I love Viggo Mortensen anyway.
Oh, yeah.
He's just amazing, and Mahershala in there also is just gravy.
It's kind of ironic that you use the phrase frontrunner in there because that's what we're going to talk about next.
Yes, the movie that didn't need to be made.
Nope.
The Frontrunner about Gary Hart.
Yes.
Anybody remember Gary Hart? Failed 1984 and 1988 candidate for president.
The Frontrunner, which is based on a book called All the Truth Is Out, the week politics went tabloid, is the story of Gary Hart, who was a frontrunner for being the president of the United States, until it came out that there were rumors that he was having an extramarital affair. Instead of denying it or hiding it or whatever, Hart turned to the media, gave them a big old middle finger, and said, "Find out what you want." And spoiler alert,
Donna Rice came along.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman. Weirdest, crazy casting I've ever seen as Gary Hart.
No, I don't get it.
Who was about a foot shorter than him.
Well, see, the thing that I find really strange about casting Hugh Jackman in a part like this, and this also falls back to the fact that I think Hugh Jackman is one of the most amazing actors.
Yeah, he can play practically anything.
I have a problem with him playing this kind of a part because in every single part I've seen him in, no matter if he's the protagonist or not, there's always something about Hugh's characters that I've found that I like, or I've found sympathy with, or something like that.
Even The Prestige?
Even The Prestige. The man lost his wife. What are you talking about?
Okay, fine.
Spoiler alert.
By the end of the film, he was a pretty wretched person.
But for him to play a person like Gary Hart, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm not sure if the Hugh Jackman, I'm Hugh Jackman and Wicked Likeable thing is going to work for this. I really don't know.
Political documentaries political narratives have kind of fallen flat the last few years. Even something like The Post, which did reasonably well, still did well below expectations when you consider the talent involved. Tom Hanks, Meryl Streep, Steven Spielberg. So I don't know how it's going to do, but Hugh's always good.
P.S. Hugh, if you're out there, call me.
The film that I think both of us are looking forward to the most of all this fall is also out on November 2nd, Bohemian Rhapsody. Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury, and the story of the formation of the band Queen and their rise to superstardom.
Yes.
I mean, this is going to be terrific. Also starring Gwilym Lee, Ben Hardy, and Lucy Boynton. It's going to be... I mean, when this was first announced and Sacha Baron Cohen was cast as Freddie Mercury, I was convinced this was going to be a disaster.
Yep, me too.
Now,
when they announced, okay, Sacha Baron Cohen's out, first of all, they went, yay! Then they went, Rami Malek, and I went, what?
Yeah, because we're not Mr. Robot fans.
No.
We know who he is, and we know he's an Emmy winner, but
yeah,
it was like,
and he seems like an awfully sweet person, and I was like, I don't know if this is going to work.
And then I saw the trailer hit, and I went, like, never mind. Oh my god, really? The full trailer is amazing.
The full trailer had
which she sits through in balls every time it's
sobbing.
On. Yeah.
It had me sobbing because it felt so real. It felt real. I mean, there's no other word for it. It just, and then you think you have to remember in the back of your mind, he's gone.
Yeah.
And that hurts. It hurts so much.
Yeah, but you need to remember that that's been 30 years ago.
I know.
Almost. We've got to get there and past it.
There's still that pain, but
there is.
I mean, when you see that one scene that's shot from the stage from one of the concerts at Wembley Stadium, and there is just people.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't even imagine the idea that there's all those people, and they're all there to see
Queen.
Yeah, you're on stage looking out at this. I would drop dead from a heart attack. It's horrifying, that idea.
No, you wouldn't.
But he went out there.
She wouldn't. Trust me, she wouldn't.
But Freddie could go.
All of this for me? Oh, she'd be reveling in it. Don't let her kid you.
Maybe just a little.
Just out there, and just as an aside, we had the opportunity to see Queen in concert a couple of years ago with the fabulous Adam Lambert stepping in for Freddie Mercury, and he was amazing.
He was.
And I wish that we had gotten to see Freddie when he was still here.
I have
it's
two
the
enormous...
same regret that I have from that and missing Steve Clark. Although I've seen Def Leppard, I've never seen them
those
with
are
Steve
my
Clark.
two... If I have two regrets out of my life when it comes to music, it's never seeing Queen when Freddie Mercury was their lead singer, and never seeing Def Leppard when Steve Clark was their guitar player. Those are my big two musical regrets.
And my third one would be missing never seeing the Carpenters perform.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I'm a big Karen Carpenter fan. Also out in November, on November 9th, The Girl in the Spider's Web has no resemblance to the first movie.
No.
Completely new cast.
Yeah.
Claire Foy, Seven-Year Gunfinson, and Lakeith Stanfield. Whether or not it'll do well, I don't know. The first one only did marginally well.
Which is a real shame, because The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo was... I mean, it's an intense film, and it's not going to be for everybody. But holy crap, Rooney Mara was amazing in that.
She was.
I'm kind of sad that they couldn't get everybody back for this, but I don't know. I mean, maybe A Change is as good as a rest, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with this.
It's not that they couldn't; they didn't.
They didn't.
They just didn't even bother. Boy Erased, also out on November 2nd, is the second of two films this year to deal with the idea of gay conversion therapy. The first one was the Sundance winner, The Miseducation of Cameron Post, which is out there right now. Boy Erased stars Lucas Hedges as a college student outed to his parents, who then send him to conversions
They send him to a Christian camp that alleges that they will convert children or teens from being gay to being straight.
Right.
To you people.
Now this movie does not take potshots at it the way that The Miseducation of Cameron Post did. It is a more subtle sell, according to director Joel Edgerton, who is also in it, along with Russell Crowe, Nicole Kidman, and a whole bunch of other people in smaller roles, including fast rising singing superstar Troye Sivan.
Okay.
So you might want to take a look at that.
Just on a personal note, nothing to do with Subject Cinema, just me.
Okay.
5-word sentence to anybody who runs one of these camps: you people make me sick.
Right. Just also to
stepping down off my soapbox
out there,
now.
Lucas Hedges was interviewed recently, and he came out with a very weird statement because people are always asking him about his sexuality. He's playing these very sexually ambiguous characters in a lot of his
because it's
films.
Everybody's business.
I know,
whatever.
But he says, "I don't know where I am right now. I'm not completely hetero, but I'm not gay." And I don't have interest here, but maybe there someday. It's a very odd statement. You can go over and read it. Just look up the interview. I think it appeared.
And you know what? But you know what? If he's happy with that, then let him be that way. Shut up and stop asking.
He's also going to be on screen in November in a movie that isn't on the list here, and we'll have to talk about that when we get to the calendar.
And also stop asking rude, intrusive questions.
Right. Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald continues milking the Harry Potter cash cow. Well, it does. Is that wrong?
Well,
is it wrong?
What?
Is it wrong?
No.
Okay.
Well, that's your incredibly cynical way of looking at it.
I'm not saying it's a bad movie. The first movie is awesome.
Yeah.
This one continues the story of
Newt
Scamander, played by Eddie Redmayne.
Love him.
Also, most of the cast of the first film is back. Obviously, Colin Farrell is not, but Catherine Waterston is back.
And it's going to be really interesting to see Jude Law's interpretation of a young Albus Dumbledore.
Dan Fogler.
That's going to be... Yeah.
The woman that plays the Ditz. I can't remember her name. Allison something.
Yeah.
Allison Pseudo.
Obviously, this film has had a lot of controversy surrounding it because of the casting of Johnny Depp as Gellert Grindelwald, because of all of the allegations of abuse and all that stuff like that. We both wound up really loving Fantastic Beasts. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go because it's a Harry Potter movie. But then we saw it, and I was like...
Well, we were both excited about it because Ezra's in it. Ezra Miller plays Credence.
And he is back in this. Yes.
He's in this,
Yay.
too. And so...
Hopefully with a better haircut.
I doubt it.
But I have to be honest...
That haircut ruined his flash.
Yeah.
I just got to say that. Okay?
I have to be honest. I adore Eddie Redmayne. I think he's a wonderful actor. And the character of Newt... By the end of the film, I was like, I want to know everything about this guy. Because he was such an amazing character, and I want about 12 of the animals that we saw in the film. I'll probably do the same thing with this one. Well, I don't want a Niffler, though, because they like sparkly stuff more than I do, and we can't have that.
And they snag it. Next.
Also in November, A Private War, starring Rosamund Pike and Jamie Dornan. A Private War is...
great actress and cardboard.
That's really mean.
Is it inaccurate from what we've seen so far?
Okay, most of Jamie Dornan's fame has come from the 50 Shades of Grey films and his complete lack of chemistry with his on-screen love interest.
Or anybody else.
Okay. The film is the story of the events that lead up to the death of a war correspondent named Marie Coleman. It's a biopic about her. Now, when you think about the fact that being a war correspondent is insanity right there, you are a person that is in the middle of a war situation, and for the most part, you are not armed. The only thing that you are armed with is your own eyes, your pen, and your telling of the truth of what happens. Now, to think that a woman would put herself in that situation, to me, is completely mental. But any woman that does that has got to be, braver than brave, I think. And for the fact that this woman lost her life in pursuit of the truth, I think that's a powerful message that people need to hear about. The clicking is his little lamp, by the way, in case you're hearing that and thinking I'm cracking my knuckles during this thing.
Nobody's Fool is the new Tyler Perry film starring Tiffany Haddish and Tika Sumner.
I love that Cinderella song. It's not about that, is it?
No,
Damn.
And Whoopi Goldberg. Here and Now, Sarah Jessica Parker in a haunting drama about a singer contemplating a grim medical diagnosis while wandering the streets of Manhattan. This actually got some really interesting notices at either Venice or Telluride, I forget which. Overlord, the latest action film from J.J. Abrams, who produced action horror film about a band of U.S. soldiers who discover supernatural Nazi experiments behind enemy lines. And before anyone asks, because it has officially been debunked, it is not part of the Cloverfield universe.
Nazis.
Originally, they had said it was, and now they're saying it is not.
Okay. Also in November, we have Peterloo, which is about an actual and very tragic event that occurred in 1819, where more than a dozen people were killed during a protest for reform, and they were killed by the British government. So obviously this is not going to be a film that's going to be positive toward them.
No.
The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Well, Mike Leigh is a British director, so it's going to be, it's a British film.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Well, it would have to be. I mean, it's, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, another film from the Coen brothers, which was going to be a Netflix anthology that they decided, nope, we're going to bring it to the big screen instead.
And the critics are calling it wildly uneven because it's actually done in 6 episodes. So,
See, for those of us who like anthologies, because those of us with short attention spans, hello, it's me. This might actually work. I mean, the Coen brothers know what they're doing sometimes, so it'll be really interesting.
Sometimes. Yeah. Robin Hood, do we really need another one? Another version of Robin Hood. This one has me attracted because of the cast that includes Taron Egerton in the title role, plus Ben Mendelsohn and Jamie Foxx. I'm very interested in that. The Favorite, the new film from Lobster and what's the deer movie?
Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Sacred Deer, director Yorgos Lanthimos. Another period piece about royal servants gunning for Queen Anne's affections is considered an Oscar frontrunner with Rachel Weisz, Emma Stone, and Olivia Colman.
Hirokazu Korieda's film Shoplifters won the Palme d'Or at Cannes.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much all you need to say.
It's Korida. Korida is an amazing director.
So there's
it should be very interesting.
We'll just lay that right there and walk off.
Anna and the Apocalypse. I know virtually nothing about this film, and I can't wait to see it. It's a Christmas zombie musical.
Happy birthday, Jesus. Here's some musical zombies. Great.
And Mirai, a Japanese anime about a young boy who meets his family at various stages of their lives. So, I mean, I'm sorry, Anna, you gotta love Anna and the Apocalypse. Just the premise of it.
No, I don't. It's just,
oh, come on, you curmudgeon. You gotta at least give them credit for originality.
I'll give them credit for originality. Timing.
On to December and Mary Queen of Scots.
Yes. Okay, as I mentioned before, I love period pieces, and I don't know, this looks, I mean, the story of Mary Queen of Scots is obviously, something that's probably going to appeal to a European audience more than an American audience, is because, hello, USA, no more kings, I don't know. I think it looks really well. For one thing, it gets Cerise Ronan and Margot Robbie in it, so I'm there anyway.
Yeah.
Because I love both those women. They're just
Cersei.
awesome. Cersei.
Cersei.
Did I do it again? I'm sorry. Miss, if you want to screw up my name anytime, feel free.
Hard to screw up Kim Brown.
Well, I know. You would be surprised, though. Anyway, moving forward.
Mary Poppins Returns.
Mm-hmm.
Why? December 19th. We need to watch the original. And Emily Blunt is doing her best job to step into the shoes of Julie Andrews. Lin-Manuel Miranda is stepping into the son shoes of Bert, the original chimney sweep played by Dick Van Dyke. Should be interesting to see. Into the Spider-Verse out on 12/14 is the animated film that will mark Miles Morales' debut on screen.
Yes.
On the big screen in this animated Spider-Man tale. I gotta be honest, the trailers haven't done much for me.
Really?
But it's because of I don't know if it's because we're seeing it on that weird screen at Showcase, because it looks very choppy to me for animation.
The screen.
And I don't know. We'll see but I mean, overall, it sounds like a fascinating premise.
Well, I
where
love
all
the
these
whole
different Spider-Man
the
from
whole
different universes.
the whole multiverse thing. I love the whole multiverse thing, and I love the fact that Marvel is not shying away from that, and I think that's going to be amazing.
And then we have Bumblebee. Go ahead. I'm transformed out. I'm sorry.
I know.
It doesn't help that John Cena is the star of it. Anyway.
No, but he's the bad guy, so you should be.
Oh, is he? I thought he was the dad. Okay.
No,
he's the bad guy. Okay.
I think he's the bad guy, but don't quote me on that. The story of Bumblebee coming out in December, as we've mentioned, also starring Haley Stanfield, is looking at the character of Bumblebee, the heroic Autobot who, after the war on Cybertron between the Autobots and the evil Decepticons, Bumblebee made it to Earth before any of the other Autobots had been living on Earth for a while before the events of the first Transformers movie. And it is set in the 80s, I believe. I think it looks like a lot of fun. It's
set a number of years before Transformers.
Yes.
So.
Yes, it is. I am looking forward to it simply because, and I will be unabashedly unashamed of this, and I don't care, and you can fight me. I love the Transformers. I have been a Transformers fan since I was a very small child.
You didn't watch the last one, though, I noticed.
I'm a fan of the characters. No, I loved the Transformers growing up, and I loved Bumblebee. And since the movies have come out, Bumblebee's been my favorite Transformer. He's my favorite Autobot because he's just cute. Right. I'm sorry. I realize calling a giant robot cute is probably pissing off a lot of people, but I don't care.
On the basis of sex, hits Christmas Day. It is the true story of a landmark trial headed up by Ruth Bader Ginsburg back when she was first starting off as a trial lawyer, and her husband, starring Felicity Jones, Armie Hammer, Justin Theroux, and is said to be major Oscar contender. It has yet to be seen on the festival circuit. I think it's supposed to premiere in New York. We'll find out. Then comes Aquaman with Jason Momoa. I'm not sure about this. Some people really think it's going to do as well as Wonder Woman. I don't like this portrayal of Aquaman.
I know you don't. I know you don't like this portrayal of Aquaman.
It's not true to the comic. But
and you are entitled to your completely wrong opinion.
You're just ogling Momoa and his nice build.
Yes.
Yes. There's nothing with the character.
No, actually, no. I am ogling Jason and his nice build. Jason, if you're out there, call me.
Enough with the call me's.
Call me, maybe. You can call me Gwendolyn if you want to. But, what we've seen of the trailer, I like the part in the trailer where we see young Arthur where he's being bullied at the aquarium.
Yeah.
And the shark in the shark tank takes exception to that. Because for the longest time, a lot of people have been very sneering toward the character of Aquaman. You know, he's got a lame superpower, blah, blah, blah. You know what? Just taking a step back for a second, and I'm speaking on a completely logistical level here. When you think about the fact that you have a character who can control the beings that live in more than 50% of the Earth's, environment, that's not something to mess with.
I hear you can talk to fish.
Yeah, fish, which can kill human beings in a F-ton of different ways when you think about it. And, I'm sorry, I think it looks really interesting, and I'm also looking forward to Patrick Wilson's turn as Ocean Master. I'm really looking forward to that.
Amber Heard also seen as Mira briefly in Justice League along with Momoa. Welcome to Marwen is the dramatization of the documentary Marwen Call, which came out a couple years ago. Starring Steve Carell as the the character who created this fantasy village to help him get through his post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes, Mark Hogenkamp was a man who was beaten almost to death by a group of thugs. We'll just go there. And when he survived this hellacious beating, he came out of it with almost total memory loss. And to cope with trying to live his life over again, he made up Marwencol, this little town that he populated with figures. I have seen the trailer for this. It is... I know some people...
The trailer is very odd. In the fact that
odd is the word
is the word I'm using because of it's sort of animated in places because of the dolls. And then it's also... the true story.
Yeah.
Some people have voiced an opinion in the Clotrudis group that we belong to that they feel that this is going to cheapen the powerful documentary. I don't know.
Steve
Carell is in the lead, and he's proven to be an Oscar favorite. So,
I found the trailer to be very unique and beautiful, and watching this man face the people that hurt him in court. It's a testimony. It's a testimonial to the human spirit and the unbreakableness of the human spirit. I don't know. I think it looks really good. Ben is Back also is coming out in December. Ben is Back, starring Julia Roberts, Lucas Hedges, Courtney B. Vance. It is looking at a family who is kind of surprised and not entirely pleasantly when son Ben comes back to his family on Christmas Eve, and his mother deciding that she's going to stay with him to make sure that nothing goes wrong, whatever that means.
Well, she says right there, she asked him where he wanted to be buried if he overdosed again.
Yeah.
So there's problems there.
Yep.
Also out in December, Copernicum, which is a Lebanese drama that has been a huge hit since premiering at Cannes and is a favorite for a Oscar for foreign language film. Mm-hmm. Mortal Engines, the new Peter Jackson fantasy, which is getting very little word of mouth, little buzz.
Yeah,
that's not good. Last time this happened with what was his other movie that didn't do well? The one with Saoirse Ronan and the guy from Julie and Julie. I can't think of his name. You know what movie I'm talking about?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
What was the last movie he directed? that we missed?
I'm drawing a blank. I can't think of it. I'm sorry.
Sorry, all right.
This film is a dystopian future film where cities roam around on wheels. It's a steampunk dystopian film. That's really not my bag. December also brings a what is the name of this? Alita Battle Angel. Oh boy.
Lovely Bones.
Oh,
That's
Lovely
what I'm
Bones.
thinking
That's
of.
that's right. I'm sorry. I couldn't think of where we were going with that. Alita Battle Angel is directed by Robert Rodriguez, produced by James Cameron and John Landau, and no. We saw the trailer for this, and I was like...
I thought it looked interesting, but I don't know whether or not it'll actually work.
I know.
Bird Box with Sandra Bullock in a post-apocalyptic horror film. Yay.
Well, there's a lot of that.
Holmes and Watson, set with Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly as the legendary companions. Didn't we do this already once with Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law? It was much
No, they
better.
did it right.
Yeah.
I have a really uncomfortable
the
feeling
Dick
about
Cheney
this.
biopic, which does not have a title yet, starring Christian Bale, in what we are told is an amazing transformation into the former vice president.
It would have to be.
And Roma, another film that has been getting all kinds of praise since Telluride and Toronto. It is the new film from Alfonso Cuarón, set in the 1970s, Mexico City, and it is in black and white. It will premiere in theaters in a limitedly wide for Netflix release in December, and of course will premiere day and day on Netflix. But a lot of people seem to think it's got a big shot at being Netflix's breakthrough film for the Oscars. Now, these are the ones that were highlighted by Entertainment Weekly, and there are a number of other films that were not mentioned in that I'm going to get into details on when we get to them on the calendar.
Okay.
So don't mind if we interrupt here, but we'll start. Why don't you take September, and I'll interrupt when I need to.
Okay. And these are as dates subject to change. As of right now, September 7th will bring...
did bring,
Hal... Kusama Infinity.
documentary about the artist of the same name.
Yes. The Nun, Peppermint, Sierra Burgess is a Loser.
That is also a Netflix movie that is getting rave reviews, although there is a scene that's got some controversy where she pretends to be deaf and signs wrong, and it's played for laughs, and Kyle DeMarco went absolutely nuts about it. So it wasn't funny.
September 14th brought to the big screen American Chaos, The Angel, Bel Canto, Final Score, starring WWE superstar, former WWE superstar, and current Guardian of the Galaxy, Dave Bautista. I Think We're Alone Now, The Land of Steady Habits, Lizzie, Mandy, MDMA, Patient Zero, The Predator, The Public Image is Rotten, Science Fair, A Simple Favor, and White Boy Rick.
Science Fair is another documentary it's actually sponsored, I believe, by National Geographic, and it is exactly what it says it is about high school competition, similar to the way that the ping pong movie was a few years ago, and it's supposed to be really good.
So now we're moving on to stuff that hasn't come out yet.
Right.
So September 21st.
That's this Friday, day and date.
Yes. Colette, The House with a Clock in Its Walls, Life Itself, Little Italy, Love Gilda,
Woohoo!
Happily Ever After, The Sisters Brothers, The Song of Sway Lake, Tea with the Dames, Quincy, and Where Hands Touch.
That's another Amanda Stenberg film, and it's set in the World War II, and has also gotten good word of mouth from critics all over the place.
And September 28th closes out the month with All About Nina, Bad Reputation, Black 47, Hellfest, Hold the Dark, Matangi Maya MIA, Monsters and Men, Night School, The Old Man and the Gun, and Smallfoot.
Brief words about Bad Reputation, which premiered at Tribeca this year. It is a documentary about Joan Jett, and talking about her life and music. Also, Black 47 is a military adventure, I believe, with James Frechville, one of our Rising Star alums.
Sorry, my chair keeps rocking back and forth. It's wooden and very uncomfortable.
And very old.
The chair or me?
The chair.
Okay.
You're only marginally old. I'm very old compared to you.
I love you too, damn it.
On October 5th, Bayou Caviar, the Great Buster, a celebration, Living in the Future's Past, Private Life, Ride, A Star is Born, Studio 54, and Venom. Ride actually is premiering at the Boston Film Festival. We're going to be seeing that this weekend. On October 10th, The Happy Prince. October 12th, Apostle. Bad Times at the El Royale. Beautiful Boy. First Man. Goosebumps 2. Haunted Halloween. Really? The Kindergarten Teacher and The Oath. On October 16th, is that 55 Steps? Helena Bonham Carter.
55, yes.
Sorry,
the print is very small.
On October 19th, 22 July, Paul Greengrass's film about that horrible event in Sweden a few years ago, the school shooting. Can You Ever Forgive Me? That's a Netflix film, by the way. Can You Ever Forgive Me? An Evening with Beverly Luff Lynn. Galveston, The Guilty, Halloween, The Hate You Give, Serenity, What They Had, and Wildlife. And October 26th, 1986, Airstrike, Don't Go, Hunter Killer, Indivisible, Johnny English Strikes Again, the next film with Rowan Atkinson and that character, Maria by Callas, a critically acclaimed doc about Maria Callas, and Shirkers. And take November.
November, which is my birthday. Shop early, shop often.
Oh, nice plug.
I will be turning 21. Again. Thank you.
Times 2 plus 8. Anyway, go ahead.
It's actually times 2 plus 9. November 2nd, Bohemian Rhapsody.
No, 21 and 21 plus 8.
Oh, yeah, sorry. See, I can't add either.
You're just not very good at math either.
No, I'm not.
Anyway, November?
November 2nd, Bohemian Rhapsody, Boy Erased, Nobody's Fool, The Nutcracker and the Four Realms, The Other Side of the Wind, plus They'll Love Me When I'm Dead, A Private War, and Suspiria. November 7th brings The Front Runner. November 9th brings Dr. Seuss's The Grinch.
Which wasn't mentioned here. This is a animated version with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yes.
Providing the voice of the Grinch.
We get to find out how the Grinch became the Grinch, because we were asking that?
I guess.
Anyway. Also on November 9th, The Girl in the Spider's Web, Here and Now, The Long Dumb Road, Outlaw King, Overlord, Peterloo, and Time Freak. November 11th brings Speed Kills from John Travolta. I don't really know what that is.
I don't either.
On November 16th is Anchor and Hope, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, and Widows. November 21st is Creed 2, starring Michael B. Jordan as Adonis Creed, taking on the son of Ivan Drago. For all you boxing fans out there. Greenbrook, Ralph Breaks the Internet. Green Book, what did I say?
Greenbrook.
Oh, I'm sorry. Green Book. I'm so sorry. Ralph Breaks the Internet, Robin Hood, and Second Act. November 23rd brings Becoming Astrid, which is a biopic of Astrid Lindgren. The Favorite and Shoplifters. And November 30th is Anna and the Apocalypse, Happy as Lazaro, If Beale Street Could Talk, and Mirai.
Also coming out in either November or December, in October or November, which isn't dated here for some reason, even though it's been known for months, movie called Mid-90s. This is another movie that had rave reviews at Toronto. And it is Jonah Hill's directorial debut. He wrote and directed this supposedly autobiographical film. We talked about it a few weeks ago. Its star, Sonny Sulek, is one of our rising stars this year. And the rest of the cast are all non-actors, real-life skateboarders. It is said to be funny. It's being classed as a comedy, even though it's not. And Lucas Hedges has a small part in this movie that everybody is raving about because he is so against the type that he's become known for. He plays the brutal, bullyish, and severely deranged older brother of Sonny's character that beats him up twice during the course of this film, badly. And I'm It sounds really intense. I can't wait to see it. Coming out in December, on December 7th, Ben is back. Mary Queen of Scots and Under the Silver Lake, the new Andrew Garfield mystery movie that has been getting raves since I believe that premiered at Berlin or one of the earlier festivals this year. December 14th, Copernicum, Mortal Engines, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and the untitled as yet Dick Cheney biopic. December 19th brings Mary Poppins Returns. December 21st, Alita Battle Angel, Aquaman, Bird Box, and Bumblebee, Cold War, Holmes and Watson, and Welcome to Marwen. Christmas Day will bring On the Basis of Sex, and December 28th, Lars Van Trier's new film, The House That Jack Built. So these are the official dates, of course, cards subject to change.
Yep.
The dates always change around this. There are a number of films that have been noted in Toronto and that we will talk about when we return.
When Subject Cinema comes back, don't go away.
T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema.
Want to know what new films are coming out this weekend? Hi, I'm T.C. Kirkham of Subject Cinema, inviting you to check out 3 Minute Weekend, our weekly roundup of all the new films hitting U.S. theaters each weekend. We've got the 411 on all the new blockbusters, indies, and video on-demand choices for you each week. 3 Minute Weekend, every Friday morning from Subject Cinema and eCinemaOne.com, a PNRNetworks podcast powered by Libsyn. Subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast service.
Movies. Subject Cinema.
Welcome back to Subject Cinema, our fall preview edition. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
Subject Cinema number 613. Remember, if you like Subject Cinema, be sure to spread the word on social media. Tweet about the show. Be sure to like us on Facebook. Spread it around wherever you're on, whether it's Twitch or any of those services.
Twitter or Instagram or
Instagram.
Whatever you kids are on the interwebs.
And don't forget, we have a Patreon out there, and we need your support. And very soon, some of our shows will be available only to Patreon subscribers. More will be up on that in the next week or so, and you can join us at patreon.com/PNRNetworks. Mm-hmm. Now, we've gone over most of the fall films that we know of, but there have been a number of films that have been showing at Telluride and Toronto over the last 3 weeks that are also ending up in the mix. One of them is Brady Corbett's new film, Vox Lux. This is, for those of you who don't remember, he's actually been, Jeffrey Wells compared him to Orson Welles. In the fact that he seems to be young, he's a genius, and when it comes to writing and directing, he's getting a little portly. He's put on quite a bit of weight. I remember Brady Corbett playing the youngest of the
Tracy family.
Tracy family in the live-action disaster that is Thunderbirds.
And we don't mean disaster as in disaster movie.
No,
either.
as in a masochistic march worthy film.
Pretty much.
But I enjoy it for guilty pleasure, mainly because Ben Kingsley loves to eat scenery.
Oh.
His new film, Vox Lux, stars Natalie Portman as a rock star who first gains fame writing a tribute song about a school shooting where she was, and later in life has become this jaded, fading rock star. It got rave reviews from most of the critics, and A24 snatched it up and is slotting it in similar to the way they did with I, Tonya last year. Mm-hmm. So she is very much in the mix for the Best Actress this year. We should also mention, and this is unknown to a lot of people, but we talked about Green Book on the main part of the show. Green Book is the Oscar favorite now after winning the Toronto Audience Award. It's directed by Peter Farrelly. Farrelly is best known for his raunch comedies,
Yes.
Dumb and Dumber and Something About Mary.
One part of the Farrelly brothers.
Yeah. No, Farrelly brothers. The Farrelly brothers are from Saturday Night Live.
Farrelly. I'm sorry.
And that's Fratelli brothers. The Farrelly brothers. And he's out of his comfort zone, and he admits it, but this movie is just getting rave reviews. As I said a few minutes ago, Mid-90s from Jonah Hill is also getting good word of mouth out of Toronto. And several other films have been touched on at Telluride. Now, of course, Telluride is the secretive, big money. You know, they don't announce their film list until the day before it starts.
Right.
So, and so they can claim these sneak previews and stuff without screwing the films out of world premieres at Toronto. All the big money players are there. All the big celebrities are there. The big film out of there this year was Melissa McCarthy's Forger film, Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Yep.
Which everybody was just raving about. And so it's up there to watch about. Green Book is up there from Toronto. A few things did happen in Toronto that weren't supposed to. Beautiful Boy got less than perfect notices and is probably lost most of its Oscar luster. The Oscar Isaac film, Life Itself, really lost its luster.
Yeah, the bloom fell off that rose really
And
quick.
poor Xavier Dolan. The guy cannot catch a break. This gentleman, who I adored his Tom at the Farm a few years ago. It was my best picture of 2016.
And I watched it.
2015. I adored that film, and his movies are an acquired taste. His first English language film, The Death and Life of John F. Donovan, got totally savaged by the critics.
Yeah.
It took him 2 years to edit the film. It was shot almost 3 years ago.
You kind of have to wonder if his reputation as a wunderkind is.
Well, don't go the Orson Welles way that way, because it's a lot to do with nerves, I think. It's Only the End of the World, which was his most recent French language film, did get a slot at Cannes last year. Did get better notices than some people remember it to.
I'm not saying he's not talented. He is very.
And he's also acted in a few things this year.
He's also a little bit sensitive.
He's in Boy Erased, actually, as an actor. So.
He's a little bit sensitive sometimes.
No, he's a lot sensitive.
I wasn't going to go there.
He's a very self-aware person.
That's one way to put it. Yeah.
If we were talking about Orson Welles, the word would be egomaniac. But this movie got totally trashed, and I feel badly because, of course, once again, he's having trouble finding American distribution. We seem to be the only country that hasn't warmed up to Dolan. Every one of his films.
There's a shock.
Every one of his films. Well, no, I Killed My Mother won tons of awards.
No,
he was 19 when he did that.
No, no, that's not a slam on him. That's a slam on us.
Yeah.
America tends to be woefully behind the times.
And
sometimes.
we, especially for some reason, don't give a lot of credence to Canadian films. Unlike our friends in Clotrudis, Michael Colford, who was the president of Clotrudis, is a Canadian film fanatic.
Definitely.
And rightfully so. I mean, more often than not, we see Canadian films nominated for umpteen awards at Clotrudis because we are able to seek them out and find them and know that they're good. And Dolan is the same way, although this one, I guess, is just all over the road. So I feel badly for him. Just because he hasn't really had a big hit at a festival since Venice's premiere of Tom at the Farm 5 years ago. So
has it been that long?
Yeah, since that premiere. It was 2 years after it came out.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I was going to say that didn't. I
saw it a year after it was at Venice, and then it came out a year after that.
Right.
So
that's okay. That's where my
here in America
again. Me and Math are
small
not
distributor.
Me and Math are not best friends.
The only place that showed in the Boston area was Cinema Salem. Thank you, Paul. Anyway, it's just a crazy year for the festivals, and it looks like going to be an interesting Oscar race. Green Book appears to be the front runner, with Roma, Boy Erased, and a few other ones in there for A Star Is Born. In there for real consideration. If you had to pick one film you want to see more than anything else that you absolutely cannot miss, what is it?
Oh gosh, out of everything that we've talked about,
narratives. Let's not worry about the documentaries.
Oh man, you asked me too fast. I think maybe I really want to see Ben Comes Back. I really want to see...
Ben is back?
Yeah, Ben is back, yeah. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of the name of it right, yeah. I think... And my second place would actually be Welcome to Marwen.
Okay.
I tell a lie. Out of all of those, if you're talking... I mean, it's a biopic, so I don't know if that falls in there. It would have to be Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Bohemian Rhapsody would be one for me, too, along with Star Is Born and Mid-90s. And... Beautiful Boy, simply because Timothée Chalamet is just an amazing young actor that we're going to keep an eye on over the next few years. I think it's time for us to get out of here, but before we do, let's remind you of everything else we've got going on. Platinum Rose's Garden is still about a month away from coming back.
Yes.
You can catch all of her previous shows, all about the TV show Supernatural, at PlatinumRosesGarden.com.
Yes. I will be back in October because we will be back for season 14 of Supernatural.
I think they should have went out with 13. I think 13 would have been cool.
Well, nobody asked you.
No, but I think that would have been a very cool, appropriate number to go out on.
I will be back reviewing the first episode of season 14, which we now have the title of Stranger in a Strange Land. So,
they're not just going to call it Stranger Things and be done with it? I mean, they rip off titles from everything else. You might as well do it from there. Anyway, Catastrophe Vortex will be back for a new season next week. I have a brand new series in plan. Oh, stop looking like that.
You want to talk about Catastrophe? Keep up that kind of lip.
It'll be heard on the weekends when we get our new schedule going. It'll be on Saturdays, so just keep an eye out for that in the next few weeks. Mm-hmm. We also have our weekly shows that we do every week of 3-Minute Weekend on Friday with all the new film releases in the U.S. and Tuesday Digidex highlighting all the new home video releases in the U.S. We also have Cavebabble with Eric and Valerie Lyon. They had a new show up recently, also doing a travelogue show in the near future. They're at Cavebabble.com.
And there's also Aunt B's Nerd Grotto, which is on YouTube. Our buddy Anthony Lamberti, who's an awesome guy.
And also found at ComicGrotto.com.
Yes. I also have another show that I will be bringing back. I'm so sorry it's been away for a while. Ring Around the Rosie is my wrestling podcast that will be back this week, come hell or high water. It will be back, and I will be reviewing this weekend's pay-per-view, the WWE pay-per-view Hell in a Cell. So hopefully you will come check that out. And that if you are of a more dramatic bent, that you will listen to our first everybody involved with PNR
Networks family.
Yes, was involved with Manhattan Hammerdown, as it happens, a dramatic reading of what else was going on in New York City the night something very big and very pissed off showed up on New York shores.
It's our 10th anniversary Cloverfield tribute. We hope you'll like that. And stay tuned. We have a new one coming in October. Mm-hmm. We also have 3 other new shows premiering in the near future.
Yes.
I have the Kirkham Report every week over on our YouTube channel, and you can find it also on the KirkhamReport.com. Mm-hmm. The weekly Hot 20. It's late this week because I was having computer issues, but there will be also best 20 best, 30 best. I had my 40 best Hanson up last week. And more coming over there, and you can find it all on the KirkhamReport.com. Now, we have 3 other new shows coming shortly. 2 of them will be coming exclusively to Netflix. Patreon. I'm sorry. It's a long show. Review, which will be our review show, and Freeze Frame, which will be our topical show. Mm-hmm. And you'll be hearing those exclusively on Patreon. You have to be a patron to get them. Also, Kim will be premiering Kaiju Corner in the near future, an all kaiju show.
Yes, I will be.
Which we're very excited about.
I'm also going to be, I'm looking into doing another smaller show. I won't talk about what it is right now, but it's something that we're looking into doing, and I hope you will check it out. If you'd like
that's the Supernatural connected one, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, we've been talking about that.
If you'd like to follow us on Twitter, I'm Platinum Rose Lady at Twitter.com.
And you can find me at eCinemaOne, eCinemaBoston, TC, or TKR Online on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And, of course, we're both... She has her own Facebook, but we're up there under our PNR Networks, Popcorn and Roses. Mm-hmm. And you can find us all over the network, just all over the place.
And if you just want to drop either of us a line just to say hey or to talk about movies or whatever, you can reach me at PlatinumRoselle@yahoo.com.
And you can reach the show at SubjectCinema@PNRNetworks.com.
Yep.
And we hope you will continue to listen. And again, become a Patreon patron. We're going to be giving you all kinds of original, exclusive stuff beginning in October. And we want you there. Patreon.com/PNR Networks. Mm-hmm. Until next time. For Subject Cinema, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
May your popcorn always be buttered.
And may your roses always be in bloom.
Here's to a great fall at the movies.
Bye now.
You have been listening to Subject Cinema with hosts T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema is produced by PNR Networks, Boston, Massachusetts, which is solely responsible for its content. Subject Cinema theme performed by Eric Lyon. Subject Cinema is recorded and produced using Sony Vegas products. Subject Cinema is copyright 2018 by PNR Networks under a Creative Commons license. Check out a new episode of Subject Cinema every weekend. Until next time, this is Bob Taylor for Subject Cinema, and we'll see you at the movies.
That's all.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.